I wanted to put Georgia higher just because, and then I looked at them and I was like, that was from former Colorado Buff and Big Ten honk Joel Klatt, who of course does Fox's big game on Saturdays, and he has Georgia as the number 8 team in the country, which I think is a very curious spot because he's got a few things to say here. Says you can bank on Georgia being dominant on defense, and he says their roster is better than other rosters. Talking about just sort of generally speaking, he's very negative about Gunnar Stockton compared to the rest of the team at Georgia. He says he likes Garrett Nussmeier, who is the quarterback at LSU, better than Gunnar. And I want to talk about that in a second here. But I want to talk about a couple of things. First of all, if you want to go see what Joel's got to say, you can see it. He just put this out not that long ago, May 5th, so 5 days ago. He's got Penn State as the number 1 team in the country. Look, Penn State's not the number 1 team in the country. They're just not. Now, they are probably a top 5 team, top 4, but they're not the number 1 team in the country. And I'm not going to get like real fired up about it or anything like that. But, you know, if this is about quarterback and quarterback play, there's a lot of very curious decisions in front of Georgia. For complete, let's be completely transparent here. I'm not assuming Gunnar Stockton is the best quarterback in college football, because he's not. I'm also not necessarily thinking a lot of these guys in front of him, in front of Georgia here, are better. I don't, the quarterback at Clemson is a completely adequate quarterback. He does not, I am not aware of, I watch Clemson a lot. I am not aware of a play that he has made that's made a difference in the game outside of the run against Pittsburgh in November of 2025. That can't be the reason exclusively. And I don't think it's the exclusive reason why he's got Clemson so high here at 5. But, I think I would never have LSU in front of Georgia. Not right in this current situation. I mean, Brian Kelly is just not at all what I thought he would be, period. He is not at all what I thought he would be. It's I wouldn't say it's becoming clear to me, but it is pretty apparent that this is not working at LSU the way it needs to. If things don't go well this season, but I don't want to overly criticize this list, because if it's a top 25 list, someone's got to be on there. I mean, to me, there's really only 4 teams right now, maybe 5 in college football. Our friends that could win the national championship, our friends at BetMGM have got Ohio State as the favorite with Texas, and then Georgia as the 3rd favorite behind, in front of Oregon, and then Penn State. And then there's a pretty significant cliff before Notre Dame, then Alabama, then Clemson, and LSU is after that. Alabama and Clemson are kind of neck and neck with Notre Dame after the cliff. And then there's a bit of a drop-off before LSU, then Michigan and Mississippi. So I think, when you start thinking about 2025, this is not, when we're coming into this season, there's been so much change. You at Ohio State, you've lost, the breadth of what won them the national championship, including the defense coordinator who went to Penn State. My challenge with Penn State more than anything is the head coach. Just doesn't win big games. I mean, at some point you will, I guess, but like Dabo, he's won big games. Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame, he's won big games. When you think about Ryan Day, he's won plenty of big games. Obviously, anyone's won a national championship. Ryan Day, Kirby, Dabo, but I wouldn't say it's accurate to say the pressure is on. The pressure's been on at Penn State, and it's not happening. It's not happened yet for James Franklin. And I will give no pity to Penn State, a school that, a football program that at least thinks of itself the same way as Ohio State and Michigan, but they sure don't produce results like that. And, that's not an acceptable situation if you're Penn State and James Franklin. So it doesn't, just because you failed for a long time doesn't mean that you won't eventually succeed. But I do, unlike this time a year ago, I do not think that I will be watching James Franklin lift a trophy at the end of the season for the national championship. It does not seem likely to me. Dan Lanning's got to get it together too. Oregon, I think, is a good team. But let's get back to Georgia right now. When you think about Gunnar Stockton, when you think about what he's got to do to get where he's got to go, he is not as gifted as Stetson Bennett. He is not as gifted as Carson Beck. The thing that I think maybe separates him from the other people in college football, and to some degree, he's better at this than Carson was sometimes. I don't think he's better at it than Stetson was, is playing the position. I think he's better at playing the position than a lot of people. I just think his tools are not as high, and it's obvious. Now, I don't know who the best. I mean, I'm just going to do a Google search right now for this. I don't know who the top quarterbacks in 2025 are in college football. Nussmeier is definitely up there. I mean, it's just, Arch Manning's never really done anything significant at Texas. It's thin right now. I mean, let's just start with Kate Klubnik at Clemson. I mean, I've seen him plenty. You saw him if you're a Georgia fan a year ago, and he was just destroyed by Georgia completely. He was, this is harsh for the quarterback, but they played 3 ranked teams. They played 4 ranked teams. They were 1-3, including a really bad mistake against South Carolina that he made. He cost him the game. There's no other way to put it. He's getting sacked way too much, just way too much. That ain't him completely, but that's a lot of him. I think he played okay against Texas, I have to say. He played bad against Georgia and South Carolina, but it wasn't enough. Get sacked 5 times against Georgia and Texas, too much. You start thinking about Arch Manning. Arch looked horrible against Georgia. He did look really bad against Georgia. Now, this isn't about just against Georgia, but at the end of the day, you've got to perform when the band is playing. I mean, no one cares what happens when you play, Western Carolina. Garrett Nussmeier, another situation for him. This guy, again, he's probably the best thrower in college football, or if there could be someone else, but again, struggles. This happens now. Struggles against ranked teams. Lost to USC. They should have never lost that game to USC. The win over Mississippi was great. Then lose to Texas A&M. Uncompetitive against Alabama. And then the loss to Florida. Just, again, against A&M, 3 interceptions. Against Alabama, 2 interceptions. You can't, the play is poor in big moments. But the guy had over 4,000 yards passing last year. I mean, that's really slinging it around. But do you trust him to? I mean, is he a version? Is he Zach Mettenberger? I guess Drew Aller at Penn State, guy that did all he could do to get Penn State where they had to be with that weak schedule that they played. This is not an unbelievable quarterback class. I mean, it's not great. And, Drew Aller went for 135 yards against Notre Dame. Notre Dame's good defense, but 135 yards, he went for 127 against SMU. They blew them out. But, he's not – you don't want to pencil him in for having 250 yards because he doesn't do it very often. And maybe that's their style. But, for instance, I'm not going to run the kid down too much. You go for 146 yards against Ohio State. Huge game. Loss. You go for you're 12 of 20. You're 12 of 23 against Notre Dame, 135 yards. If your quarterback goes for not even 300 yards in 2 games, has no touchdowns and 2 interceptions, I'm just reading the math very quickly, it's not good enough. That's not a game. That's not a championship level performance from a quarterback. In the Fiesta Bowl, he goes for 127. In the Orange Bowl, he goes 171. And in the I said Fiesta Bowl. In the home game against SMU, he goes for 127, then 171 in the Orange, and then 135. Come on. So this is not a great quarterback situation right now. If Arch is really good, and he might be, then so be it. But I think Gunner's multiple things can be true at the same time, and the notion that Gunnar Stockton is the albatross for Georgia, I'm not sure I totally buy that, first of all. But secondly, there's a few albatrosses that are out there, and it's just not a great quarterback situation. And the other thing, too, is, Carson Beck's at Miami. What happens with injuries at these quarterback spots? What happens with Carson? I mean, you want to talk about a guy that can really play and throw it? Carson Beck's that guy. It's just a new situation. So quarterback's really critical, but I don't think we have a great group in college football right now. And so it goes back to, can you run it? Can you defend? And, Georgia, Penn State is usually pretty good at that typically. Ohio State's pretty good typically at that. Georgia has been pretty good at that. Texas lately has been pretty good at that. A lot of attrition at Ohio State, a lot of attrition at Texas from this past season, a lot of success for Steve Sarkisian. So I don't hate what Joel Klatt's got here. I think he's got Georgia too low. I would never have them behind LSU coming to this season. I would never have them behind Clemson. Look, I understand the Clemson situation, I think, pretty well. We need to chill that out a little bit and kind of take it from there, because it's getting it. I think someone had them as the number 2 or number 1 overall and way too early. I don't know if it was marked over at ESPN or not, but we gotta be realistic here. I mean, it can't be that you don't, that you have one ranked win out of 4 games and suddenly you know what you're doing. No, I mean, I wouldn't get too. If the kid doesn't make a long field goal, everybody's all over Dabo right now. I mean, the loss to South Carolina was bad. And so, there's challenges for everybody out there. There's not an obvious team. This isn't like a season ago. I mean, that's the problem, is where are we really at right now in college football? Not great quarterback is one thing. That might mean a real scramble for this national championship. Tell me what you think. Do you think Joel Klatt's too high or low with the Dogs at number 8? Thanks for watching.